The man simply found the spoon too small. The next instant, he snapped it clean in two. Yet to his surprise, not a single prisoner present seemed astonished by his feat. Only Dorian, seated across from him, wore a faint smile. Then Dorian picked up an iron spoon himself. He began waving it before the man. As Dorian's movements grew faster and faster, the originally rigid iron spoon began to bend like a rubber band. Finally, the instant Dorian stopped, the spoon had completely transformed into a piece of scrap metal. Witnessing this scene, the man felt profound humiliation. In a fit of rage, he overturned Dorian's table right in front of all the prisoners. A nearby guard rushed to intervene, but in the next instant, Dorian snatched the guard's pistol. Then, under the stunned gazes of all present, Dorian handed the loaded gun to the man. He ordered him to point it at his own head and pull the trigger. This act instantly made the man feel humiliated. He was about to pull the trigger, but at that very moment, Dorian delivered a swift kick to the man's groin without hesitation. With a piercing scream of agony, the man collapsed to the ground. This was the true terror of Dorian. He relied on no single martial arts style, yet mastered every combat technique. Seeing the man still refuse to concede, Dorian immediately requested a designated area from the guards. 3 guards were assigned as referees. They would settle this with a life-or-death match in the man's specialty, sumo wrestling. The match began, and Dorian immediately lunged at the man, locking him in a tight embrace. Seeing this, the man held nothing back. He strained with all his might to hurl Dorian away. Yet to his astonishment, the strength that could overturn a truck couldn't budge Dorian an inch. Instead, Dorian freed one arm. He delivered a vicious slap to the man's ear, instantly rupturing his eardrum. But that wasn't the worst of it. Next, Dorian yanked out a clump of his own hair. He twisted it into a rope and thrust it toward the man's ear. As Dorian twisted the hair backward, it deftly wrapped around the man's cochlea. Then, a bizarre spectacle unfolded. Dorian's hair sliced the man's cochlea into fragments. Deprived of his inner ear, the man instantly felt dizzy and disoriented. His body lurched forward uncontrollably, crashing face-first onto the ground. In that moment, disbelief filled the man's mind. As the sumo world champion, how could he possibly lose to such a seemingly insignificant trick? With a furious roar, the man struggled back to his feet. Yet before he could take a few steps, that intense dizziness struck him again. Finally, he collapsed onto the ground. The outcome decided. Dorian didn't linger. He casually snatched a cigarette from a nearby guard's pocket and calmly walked away. Meanwhile, the defeated man hadn't regained his senses when a guard pressed a gun to his head. The rules here were simple. Anyone who challenged Dorian and lost faced only one outcome: death.